it's a very humbling experience, and really interesting as well to interact with fellow practitioners all across the industry. This is something, the relationship, the connect, which brings us all alive. So I'm very thankful to all of you, to Raju as well. Uh, and coming to the most like happening issue, the happening thing which is still happening, right? The COVID pandemic. And it's a bit sad to see that Europe is again crippling in the fear of COVID, something which we have gotten rid of. But last couple of years, uh, if I relate to those heart-wrenching moments, uh, the moments where we always struggling, right? Somewhere there were people who were making it work as well, in spite of lockdown, in spite of adversities, in spite of personal calamities. There were people in technology who were enabling all the businesses, especially pharma industry, making it work. Uh, and we all have seen how quickly and gradually the entire industry, the entire ecosystem shifted to new ways of working. So that was something which was really welcoming for all of us. I also see that there is a clear involvement of senior stakeholders, the clear buy-in over the technology. uh, it has become much easier for us to explain that what we are doing and what you're going to get out of it. Uh, there were discussions around from home, if it works or not. It is very clearly established that it works. There were discussions around how the virtual setup, the how virtual environment work. Multi-million projects, multi-million programs, they have rolled out virtually without no interaction, no physical interaction at all. And it has become clearly evident from all of these things. If I speak about pharma industry, there was a huge impact in terms of sales force, right? The most of the business is run by people who are working in the field for all of us, right? These are the people who impact most of us. They reach to healthcare practitioners every now and then. And these are the people who advocate that these are the new therapies, these are the new treatment, these are the existing ones which you should prescribe to your patients. So we are speaking about healthcare, which affects all of us. And somehow, during the lockdown period, during the COVID period, they were not able to reach. They were not able to provide that kind of help. Uh, Even there was reluctance all across industry to have them. And here we have seen new ways of working, and new ways of working, not just in terms of the jugaad. I will call WhatsApp calls or the regular calls as jugaad, and they actually started evolving. Then there was a definite set of industry which came into that, how I can even have a track over WhatsApp calls, how I can even have a track over Zoom calls, how I can do remote detailing. So those things have started shaping up, and now they are becoming a norm in the sense of that, okay, I was doing physical visit maybe once in a month. Why not to convert into two? Because once I'm not going to do a physical visit, I am going to meet my HCP virtually. So things have changed. Things have changed dramatically during the COVID period, and I think we are still grappling uh, or dabbling with the entire landscape. And I'm crossing my fingers that this wave in Europe also passes away very quickly. Over to you, Raj.
Okay, I think you said it very rightly about we all are hoping that the third wave doesn't come, and I think now industry has started to uh, pick up or rebuild and started to gain economical growth, which is very much required after this pandemic stuff which really happened. So how do you think, I got a couple of questions where Ashish, if I can ask, um, how are we investing in the R&D, and how will that help Indian pharma companies?
Actually, it's a very interesting question. First of all, whenever you are doing R&D, there is a huge cost which you call as an opportunity cost, uh, and that opportunity is either gained or lost. That is the entire outcome. Uh, if I speak about entire Indian pharma industry segment, and now I will be speaking typically about the technology segment. I'm not going hard on the new recipes, new formulations, new products, right? Because that is an area where technology is already helping. There are ways where you can right now gauge or sense that what are the formulation, what are the product. You can do the testing very accurately and very promptly. So that is already there. That space is already there. So I'm not even uh, getting into that space that telling the experts how to get their work done. It's not my space. My space is more around technology, and that is where I will be harping on. Now I'm seeing uh, advertisements around that you can wear a patch, you can wear a sugar patch, and you can instantly get your body glucose levels. So I was speaking to my cousin. He's having he's a diabetic, and he's not able to ascertain that what is impacting his sugar levels. I said, why don't you go for a patch? You will be having an app which is telling you that this is how your sugar levels are. You can have that kaju katli or not. That is going to be completely in your control. You can go ahead and eat it, or you can know that what is affecting you, because every body is different. It's till now. I will be doing a hit and trial. Let's say that I am a prescribing doctor. Maybe I am trying a hit and trial that, okay, I will give you first dose of this medicine, then I will see how your body is reacting. That is why there are follow-up consultations, right? They want to understand that what is happening, and then based on that, I will be changing it. With these kind of monitoring coming into picture, imagine a world where I am wearing something and my doctor knows that, oh, this Ashish, he's just so forgetful. He hasn't taken his medicine. Or maybe, oh, this Ashish, he has taken this medicine, but the body is reacting in this manner. Maybe I will prescribe him something, and I will prescribe in such a manner that he will even receive his dosage. There will be supply chain at the back end. There will be a prescription which will be ready and live. There will be insurance company which will be paying for it. And I will be getting that package that I have to alter my medication. I have to change it. So I'm seeing R&D in the area of wearables, R&D in the area of connectivity, IoT devices. So there is a huge technology inbuilt, which is happening right now, which is shaping up. Uh, I was reading about, and not related to tech, I believe in Singapore, there was a person who was in an accident, and his Apple Watch sends an SOS to emergency services, and he was saved. He was saved. So that's the point, that there are multiple scenarios where I'm seeing that this industry is going to evolve like anything. And the biggest data which is being generated, so Europe and America, they have generated a lot of data already. Southeast Asia, especially India, the kind of data we are generating through wearables is amazing. It's amazing. So that is where I will say not just R&D, but the entire pharma industry focus should be, or healthcare industry rather.
And obviously, you brought a very good point about the R&D, which obviously a company needs to do. But how about this transformation? Because I always believe, this it's not a switch which you can just press on and off, and things will switch. With this R&D, new technology, the way you said, your sugar level getting counted, you know, how will that digital transformation will be a meaningful transformation for employee as well? Because even don't you think our company employees should also be aligned to a customer need or a vision which we as a industry want to achieve it?
Very interesting question, Raj. And I will be very honest and transparent about it. So digital is a word, right? A buzzword. Everyone is using it. Everyone wants to say that I am on the digital journey. I want to transform my organization entirely. Uh, it's a different meaning for different people. And there are so many numerous meanings attached to it. I cannot define digital, to be honest. If I That is why I said that I'm being transparent here. I cannot define digital. But when I get a sense, when I speak to people, when I speak to non-technology people, people who are not into technology, right? When I speak to them, then the sense which I get, The meaning which they drive out of digital is that something which is very easy to use, something for which they don't need training, something which gives them real and live feed of data, something which tells them that you don't get into complexities of system, you don't have to do a run of transaction. Those are the digital. And digital transformation in itself is a journey. It's a journey, it's a long journey. You often speak about vision also, right? That we should be having a vision, a digital vision. But you have to understand that there are different six or five pillars. One pillar can be your simplification, one pillar can be your robotic process automation, one pillar can be your data analytics, another pillar can be around your marketing technology, right? How those all things are converging together. If an organization is able to envisage this, if an organization is able to put in paper, and it's really, really tough. I find it daunting and challenging, to be honest. So that is how we are evolving. Uh, the idea is that you will have to invest in things which are not going to give you returns immediately.
Okay.
People and organization will have to open about. So this goes for R&D piece as well, that you will invest with a hope that you will get something in return. But if you're not there, within 3-4 years, there will be someone who is going to take it over entirely. So keep investing, keep that sharp bend, and keep trying to identify the themes which are actually converging together. So theme identification is important, and the rest things will take care of itself themselves.
You just hit me in my mind, and I'm not able to stop asking this question. Like this pandemic which happened, I don't know how many of us as industry leaders were really ready for it. But what do you want to, suggest, or what do you want to give as your opinion on a business continuity? Like, how can we be prepared better for next time if something comes up like this? What else we could do as a
You're asking very hard questions, Raj. First of all.
okay. I think it just came to my mind. I thought, being an expert, I should ask you because I was not able to find the answer.
So BCPs, business continuity plans, right? They are a set of documents. They are a set of principles which get invoked at times of adversity. You have a near site, you have a far site, you have backup infrastructure, you have backup of backup infrastructure. Then you also define that okay, if something is going down, then how I will do things manually. If something is going entirely wrong, let's say a flooding, then I'm not able to reach my office, then what I will do. So
Right.
you have those principles laid down, right? There is a document, there is a set of guidance, there is a toll-free number that okay, people will start engaging into this. So all of these are there. What COVID has done is that they have made us test it, if it is working or not, if it
Hmm.
is really working or not. And what I see here is that BCP on paper looks good and nice, but when you actually have to execute it, it's challenging. We do fire drills. I think we have to be very well prepared for BCP drills as well. That is something which I will say everyone, that you have servers, create a scenario maybe once in a year or maybe once in 2 years, where you assume that your ERP system is not functioning at all for a day, and how you are doing business. So just a mock exercise, it helps. Actually helps. So mock up of your BCPs is the most important thing, which I have gathered out of these things till now in COVID.
Well, I'm going to ask you a simple question then. Do you see what are the biggest challenges or risk in adopting this innovation digital transformation? Because we as an industry were not prepared for it, right?
Uh, if- so so I don't give technologically excuses. What I think is that whenever we are speaking of adoption, whenever we are speaking of lack of innovation or anything, it's all about mindset and attitude. Uh, with the right mindset and right attitude and the right kind of investment, one can move forward. Uh, During COVID, it was a forceful kind of thing for industry to adopt to these ways of working. Now the organizations or the industry has realized that this is a place where we have to play strongly. We have to come on front foot rather than on the back foot. Earlier, it was that it is good to have, and we will be having a minimum investment kind of plan. Now, organizations are gearing up, aiming up for that. I want a world class thing. I want world class infrastructure because in coming ages, it is going to be a the heavy and easy ways of working is going to be a new norm. Also, if I speak about attracting new talent, if I speak about attracting new workforce, they want to work in a place where things are easy to be doable. If I ask, so I'm old now, right? I don't look old, that I will say, but I am old. So if I speak to people who are 10, 15 years younger than me, they literally hate working on Excels, right? They are like that. I don't want to work. And they have seen in organization where RPA is there, where they are getting fantastic outcome, and people are asking them manually to do that. What kind of killer is that for them? And that is a piece of digital transformation, right? That one organization digitally transformed, it is going to attract much better talent in the market, and the people are going to invest their time in actually value delivery rather than mugging up an Excel. Same goes for your entire innovation piece. Again, innovation is another buzzword. Uh, most of the innovations, which we call innovations, are copies of each other.
Okay.
That I'm replicating a model which is already established somewhere, and that is the easiest way to do. If we have to be really innovative, we have to think about, first of all, for innovation mindset, we have to think about what problem we are trying to solve. Is there a problem at all or not? Is there something which is not existing at all? We are creating it. And it has to be touching the lives of people. You cannot just generate a random thing between some exercises, some kind of thing. If you are working on something, if it is touching lives of people, if it is making that kind of impact, then you are actually getting into that innovation cycle. I will emphasize nations, organizations, everyone has those top line concept, bottom line concept. Nations are measured in GDP. I want to understand, I want to see, I want to work towards how I am bringing sustainability goals toward it. I want to understand how technologically I am helping in shaping up these visions with the help of well-being of everyone. So that is where technology and the innovation piece are coming together. I hope I have given your answer, Raj. I know it's a bit
Yes,
controlled.
yes, yes. No, no, absolutely. You're bang on there. And I think just looking at the time, I have last question, which I wanted to ask you specifically for, for CIOs and people who have joined us with us. What kind of key priorities you want to set up in this contactless era today? Where the supply chain has been disrupted, and we have become so virtual. So what are the key priorities which our CIO should take it back from your perspective?
Uh, I have seen one of the industry which has evolved like anything is marketing technology. Uh, and whenever we are working in industries, we are working in organizations which are touching lives of our consumers and customers. How seamlessly we are giving them that experience, the consumer journey entirely. So the only thing which I have committed myself to is that I will try to understand my customer and consumer more and more, better and better, day by day. Technology will come automatically. So that is something which I keep a core to my principles and beliefs. Uh, if I'm able to help people on the ground, be it external, uh, with the help of technology or even without the help of technology, that is okay. At times we think that there is a technology solution behind everything. There is not. It's just you are not looking it into a simple manner. So without making it looking at things without making it complex, that is one thing. And as I said, marketing tech is something where I see huge wins in coming days also. I think we all are aware about how big game is data analytics, how things are pretty much on around data. With privacy bill coming into picture, uh, I'm very keen to understand how we can have first party data, how we can leverage on that first party data, how consumer data platforms are going to look like, because this is something which has already started in Europe, which has already started in US, which has already started in China. I want to see how that shapes up in India, because we are looking at billions of sets of data, billions of sets of preferences, and billions of sets of people who actually want to get help. And it will be really interesting to see how we all can help them.
All right, Ashish, I think we all have heard you and made a notes of it. So, I would like to really thank you for, giving us the insight about this important topic, on this pandemic era, and the different ideas you gave about the R&Ds. You talked about innovation, culture, and the key priorities which we should take care of as a CIO. So, on behalf of Exitor, we would like to thank you for being here and sharing such a fruitful information with us.
Thanks a lot, Raj, and thanks to entire Exito team. Uh, Best of luck for the entire event, and thanks everyone whoever is watching this. As I said that don't look at the technology, look at the human angle, and we'll be there. Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank
one.
you.